During the battle of Kurukshetra, there was a very serious episode where Arjuna lost his son, Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu was a powerful warrior, but he was attacked by warriors without following the proper code of conduct. It was a moment of great regret, despair and distress for Arjuna. Arjuna started weeping and crying, lamenting the loss of his son, the lamp of his life. At that moment, when Arjuna was crying and weeping, people were trying to console him. Krishna came right next to Arjuna, embraced Arjuna, and Krishna started crying. And Arjuna looked at Krishna and said, "Krishna, I lost my son. I am crying. Why are you crying?" Krishna said, "Dear Arjuna, of course, the fact that Abhimanyu has died affects all of us. But the fact that I spoke the Bhagavad Gita to you and I spent 1 hour explaining the details of the Gita about how the soul is eternal, and in spite of hearing all that, you are crying, seeing that I am crying." The Bhagavad Gita gives the solution to suffering. There are 4 questions which are answered in the Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell. If you want to appreciate and understand the 700 plus verses of the Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell, it is in these 4 questions and the answers to these 4 questions. The first question Gita asks is, what is suffering? And the answer is, to get what you don't want and to not get what you want. That is suffering. The second question Bhagavad Gita asks, what is the cause of this suffering? And the answer is given in the Bhagavad Gita. The cause of this suffering is forgetfulness of the soul's relationship with the Supreme. Samsara briksha agabija mananta karma shaka yutam karana patra mananga pushpam aruhya dukkha phalinam patitam dayalo Lakshmi Narsingha mama dehi karavalambam. Just imagine that we carry a seed of neem fruit. So as we know, neem is extremely bitter. And if I sow the seed of neem, the tree which will come up is that of neem. If I climb on top of a neem tree and pluck a neem fruit, what will that taste be? Will it be bitter or sweet? It will be bitter. I pluck that fruit, experience the bitterness, and then I start saying and exclaiming, "Oh, how bitter this is. I wish and hope that this fruit was as tasty as mango." And then someone says, "You pluck the fruit from the lower branches, go on the higher branches. In higher branches, the fruit will be like mango." Now, do you think this makes sense? It is the same tree. It has all sprung from the same seed. Whether higher or lower branches, the ultimate experience will be bitter. Therefore, the real cause is that we are all sowing the seeds of sin in our lives. Disobedience to the laws of the Supreme. And that is the cause of sin. That is the cause of suffering. The third question Gita asks is, what is the solution to suffering? If the problem is caused due to forgetfulness, solution will be caused by remembrance. And so Krishna explains to Arjuna in the Gita, "Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayana." My dear Arjuna, always think of me, become my devotee, offer your homage, respect and worship to me. In this way, you will come to me without fail. So the question arises that if suffering has been defined, the cause of suffering has been defined, The solution to suffering has been defined. What is the fourth question? The fourth question is, we may have analyzed the cause of the disease and started taking the medicine, but the symptoms of the disease do not disappear instantly. There is a period where we have to tolerate the disease. And therefore, the fourth question is how to tolerate suffering. And Krishna explains to Arjuna, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha. My dear Arjuna, that principle which will be most useful in tolerating would be to remember that as happiness and distress comes, it will also disappear. And therefore, to tolerate is the most powerful principle described in the Gita. And on the basis of tolerance, one can actually experience transcendental knowledge. Thus, the Gita gives us, in a nutshell, what is suffering, what is cause of suffering, what is solution to suffering, and how to tolerate suffering, remembering that these instances of happiness and distress are temporary, they will pass. We have to focus on our real mission, although the journey may be filled with various impediments, obstacles, and difficulties.